And also
You can
switching
spin
between
both
this
of us,
framework.
maybe there, and then take that, which is being streamed.
Okay, so we are live now.
Perfect. All
Hi
right.
everyone, welcome to the last session of AWS User Group Malaysia. This is a very special edition. We have limited amount of attendees just because it's Christmas already, so holiday season. But we have a great speaker among us, Kaushik, which is one of our group leaders. He is director in Glacier, and he will be speaking to us today about his experience attending the AWS reInvent this year. Maybe he will be also very kind to share with us how it's different from other years. So up to you, Kaushik.
Thanks. Thanks, Salam, and thank you, Yasser, for joining in.
Thanks.
Right. And for everyone, right? So today, what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about few things, few of my experiences that I had there, uh, personally attending this time around, right? And also to share about some of the key announcements, right? Maybe once we have a larger team and audience, we'll talk about the various announcements, actually deep diving into each one of them. For today, we'll touch base upon the top 5 or 6 announcements that happened, right? So to start with, Salam, as you said, for me the key experience from a reinvent. This is being my second reinvent in person. The key thing is actually meeting and talking to the like-minded folks, right? Everyone come in with a particular agenda. They have their own thought process while they are attending conferences as such, but having that networking capability in one place, and especially a post-pandemic meeting in person, right after 21 months, talking to them, understanding what they are doing in their environments, in their countries, because they all face different challenges in different places. So I think that was very, very refreshing after a long time, and I think those were the key things that I took away with myself post that reinvent. I had the opportunity to connect with some of the AWS leadership team, especially the services team, where we spoke to some of them during these sessions and chalk talks. I had the opportunity to meet a lot of AWS user group leaders as well, right? Where the user group leaders like Carissa and others, they had organized a connect, and then followed up by the informal networking session. So there, I had the opportunity to actually talk with a lot of these user group leaders in places from Argentina, Chile, Berlin, India, across the globe. People have been doing something that we've been doing from in the Malaysia user group, and they also have been facing issues, some with less content in their local language, right? Some facing issues of underrepresented people not being able to bring in, and so everyone, are tackling different kind of problems based on the cultural fit for them. So this is the thing that talking to them and understanding that and how they are tackling those issues was a great one as well. And of course, this time when I went as part of the being the AWS Hero program. There I could actually network with all of these folks who are doing tremendous job globally and contributing to the community and specific domains. So that was great for me. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Let me just unpack some part of what you mentioned. Like reinvent, for those who does not know, can you explain to us, in general what it is?
Sure. So Reinvent is put in as one of the biggest tech conferences in which with the main theme is to come and learn, right? So that is how they always uh, put across AWS Reinvent as, right? So come in, learn. So there are n number of sessions that are happening across various venues. So, uh, so far I think there are at least 500 plus sessions that could have been done uh, in that 1 week period. Some repeat and whatnot. But however, reInvent is one event that happens once a year in Vegas, organized by AWS teams, and you have people who are AWS users, customers, AWS partners, who are providing services, and all of them coming into one place, right? So everyone, as I said, come in with their own agenda for reInvent, and reInvent mostly is for as an education purpose, where they come and understand what AWS is, how to better use those services for their customers, and then take back home and work on that. And so for some people could use reInvent as a networking place where to build business relationship, right? So entrepreneurs or some ISVs who would be looking to partner with other partners. And so that's the way that they would potentially use that, or else there's no way to get such like-minded people in one place, all concentrated together. And with the key focus of, making most out of AWS connections. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. That's very cool.
I think back in the days, like AWS accumulate all the announcement to be in the reInvent day. But nowadays, like every month or like every 2 weeks, there is a new announcement. But back,
Right.
like I remember, like back in 2016 or something, all the big announcement will be only on reInvent.
That's right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right. And so the keynotes used to be the most sought out thing. Go wait for the keynotes in which Andy Jassy, Werner Vogels used to make these big bang announcements. But this time around, I believe that is a major shift in the way they use the keynotes to do it, right? So, and in general, I think the innovations that they have done, I've seen a certain theme this time. So there were no big bang announcements, no new services, saying that, okay, to call out for this is like the best new Lambda which has come in, nothing like that coming out. So the theme has been, they've been adding value to the existing services, right? So they're saying how I can make this better for our existing customers. So we already have 200 plus services. Let's try and focus these services and make them better for our, more usable, for our customers. And the other theme is focusing them and building them for a specific niche, right? If you would see, there has been a theme of AWS for automated, making low code, no code. I believe that it's a fresh theme across data, app dev, and everything. Migration, everywhere you see all these pillars. If you would see, they have tried to introduce services or add-ons, which helps making it easier to use by implementing low code, no code, drag and drop. Like Amplify Studio or the SageMaker thing, or even for the serverless components that they have brought in. So that's the theme that they have brought in. And of course, from a key principle across various domains, sustainability is another thing that they are focused on this time around. So that's my thing for this year, where I would say that three things that they have focused and said that, this is what we want to do, rather than just saying, and we are happy to announce one new service. No, that's not been the trend this time around.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm very excited to jump directly into details and ask you about all the announced services, or you can say features. I just want to know, like, can you spoil it to us? Tell me what is the most exciting thing that you have learned or new?
Most exciting thing for me is, if you say just from the announcements, is that what you mean, Saddam?
Maybe in general, you can just split into categories and tell me in each one of them.
For me personally, I believe the focus on sustainability is stands out for me. If they do it as an organization, they've been doing that in various things. Maybe the way they build their data centers, or the way they are developing their own silicon chips. Right? See, all the nitros and everything, where they're ditching the Intel and bringing their own, saying that this is energy efficient, right? And saving costs at the same time, giving better performance and whatnot. So I think that is a key thing for them, and that stood out for me. And few other services, maybe I have a slide deck to share if I can go through them and showcase that. So let me quickly share my screen. Okay. All right. So, okay. So you do see the screen now?
Yep, yep.
Perfect. All right. So basically, if you would see, just to share some numbers again, we might touch a base upon something that we did earlier. So there were 5 keynote sessions. I'll just go into them. So there were more than 50 key announcements that came in, and tons of them. If I have to go through, it's like a 150 slider that I have. But yeah, so the and very important ones, though it did not get some space in the keynote, and it was announced on the blogs and what news section. And I think that those are key announcements, and some of them I'll touch base upon soon. uh, in person. So this time it was the very first time, and it was the 10th edition, right? So it was the 10th edition. They wanted to make it special as much as possible. They started in 2011. So 2000, so it was 15 years of AWS and 10 years of reInvent this year. So that's where I think they were hell bent upon to doing it in person. So they did it a hybrid, given even if the pandemic thing was getting worse. And they capped it to 20,000 people. So I think there were around 20 to 22,000 people uh, attending in person, which usually used to be around 50 to 60,000. So that's a huge drop for them. And even from the venues that they were actually doing the sessions, they used to be across multiple venues. This time it was just the Venetian, the Caesar Forum, and the Wayne and Encore, just 4 venues. Or else they would have at least 8 to 9 venues, and you would be running around different venues to catch up on sessions. So for people in person, it was much more easier, much more contained in a certain area to actually go and attend those sessions. So I think that is one good thing out of the reduced attendee numbers. And also it felt safe, right? Having that, given the pandemic situation. So during the thing, as I said, there are 5 keynotes, right? And the first one, the main keynote, which again was the very first one for the new CEO, who actually took over Andy JC on the 17th of May this year. It was his very first keynote, and I believe everyone's looked forward to actually to see how he is going to perform or what his vision is for AWS, because a lot of businesses depend on the way what AWS would work, right? And I believe it is key on how he projects of what is the future for AWS. So that is one keynote that stood out. Then there was the partner keynote, usually in which the global partner alliance lead, Doug M, talks, and then Sandy Carter. But for both Doug and Sandy, this was the last reInvent. Both of them have exited AWS. So Doug M has joined Andy Jassy in Amazon, and Sandy Carter has left the Amazon family and has gone to Web3, right? So it was their last, and on 6th December, they actually moved on to the next organization. And as far as Stephen Aubin, the author of the book Ahead in the Cloud, he is the one who had his first keynote and talking about AWS Marketplace. For a tech person like him, actually coming and talking about details, it was interesting, and that was a good thing that came out. And for me, I already had his book, Ahead in Cloud, but during reInvent, I had the opportunity to get a self-signed book. Let me try and show it off. So these are the 2 books that I have already, but one of them is actually signed by him, and this is what he gave. So yeah, happy for that, on
I
this.
fantastic.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so that was Ahead in Cloud author who was there, and he gave a talk. And it was interesting, and it is good to see that how they're building up the AWS marketplace space with a key focus like with people like Stefan, right? So that's one. And then following up, they had the ML keynote, which has been a norm for the last 2 years now. And then the infrastructure keynote by Peter DeSantis. And finally, the Werner Vogel ones, in which for me, that is the most exciting of all keynotes. It used to be Andy Jassy and Werner Vogels, but this time there was no Andy. So Werner Vogels actually stood out. It had a lot of fireworks in it. So yeah, so these were the keynotes. Across all of these, there were a lot of announcements, but for me, some stood out, and some which were announced even offline and did not make to the keynote list. I'll talk on those. So I'm going to use a slide deck which was prepared by the user group community and shared. I've selected few of them to talk about today, right? So the very first one is the Amplify Studio. AWS Amplify has been around for mobile app development to make it easy, but now they have introduced the AWS Amplify Studio. So with this, now you can actually visually configure your app backend, which is a data model and everything, or which is available, right? And you can visually how do I say, develop your UI as well with dozens of pre-built components, right? So here they've integrated also with Figma, in which you can build it in that import designs from Figma as a React code into Amplify, right? So if you see, this one is basically what's new. It is an abstraction layer on top of the Amplify CLI that lets you create a complete full stack app front to back on AWS using a visual development environment, right? And quickly build on that, and then extract all of that using Figma as a clean React code, and just pull it in and then host it on AWS. So that's interesting. So this is where the UI, if you would see in particular, uh,
Super interesting. It's like Figma is the new Adobe Photoshop for people who used
yes,
to use Photoshop and Illustrator.
exactly.
Yeah,
And they have templates ready made for the various domains, right? So if you have an e-commerce, everything, you can just go ahead and do it. So that's how they are treating that. Yeah. And then of course, so that's the key one. And now the next thing that they have is that they added in, and for me is a good announcement, is Repost. I'm not sure if you've heard about Repost before. Repost is now AWS's own forum, right? So earlier they used to have the AWS forum in which you could ask question and answers to specific technical problems, right? And was open. Now they have consolidated all of that into something called Repost. It is a community Q&A site. You can call it the Stack Overflow version of AWS, only for AWS,
that's cool as
right?
well.
Right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so basically as part of this, the only thing that you need to do is you need to have an AWS account to be able to access this portal, right? And everything else is free. You access it. They have gamified it. If you answer questions, you get points. If you add your certifications, AWS certifications, Spreadly links, you get points attached to you. And based on that, your tier moves from novice, expert, and so on and so forth. And you build your credibility in that world. So
How do you
I
see that
believe
different? Yeah, sorry. Go on, Kaushik.
So yeah, I believe a lot of folks will use this uh, to build a reputation in the market using this, right? And not just that, this will also give you direct access to AWS service teams answering your questions over there. Not just support, AWS support. Different people like you and me can also contribute and address those points, right?
Interesting.
And
How's that
and
different from the forum?
uh, so basically, forum used to be a non-gamified version, right? And it was all spread across. So now what they've done is they've consolidated everything and calling it Repost,
I see.
right? So that's how it is, and of course it's completely free. And I believe it's their way to build that persona to see who is doing what and whatnot. That gives them more insights, I believe. Yeah. So that's one. And then we have a few other things that came in. So this one, I believe, did not make it to the keynotes announcements. But for me, I believe this is a good addition and a good announcement that was done during reInvent. The event filtering, right? So you can filter incoming messages even before the function invocation happens. So the business logic, whether you want to process that or not, can be done even before you invoke a Lambda function, right? So you add a filter criteria, you say a filter which has patterns. So in this example that you would see here, so the source of the events that are coming through is a Kinesis stream, and the example used is of a let's say automotive fleet telemetry, right? So tire pressure, temperature, all of that coming in. And what we are saying is do it in a batch of 10 and set a filter where the tire pressure, if it is lower than 32, only then you would go ahead to process that event. So, and you process it and batch it up to 10 and then do a batch processing. And like that, you can put in up to 5 patterns in one go. So this will potentially reduce Lambda invocations, and this comes at no cost, right? And it helps you reduce the invocations and the associated cost to it. So for me, I believe this is a very interesting add-on for those who are using Lambda extensively for in the data scene, right? For processing the data. So I believe this is a great one. And for now, they support the three things, which is Kinesis data streams, DynamoDB streams, and SQS as a data source or an event source to come through. Yeah, and this is something which is generally available as of now. Yeah. Another one that they announced is the ephemeral storage. So now, as of now, you could do it up to 512 MB, and that is the thing. Now, the ephemeral storage, you can do it up to 10,000 MB, right? And you can do it as a provision it in a 1 MB increment as well, and available across both the zip and the container packaging that you would do on Lambda, right? The default still remains 512 with no additional charge. But the charge beyond 512 is what you will be charged for. And as usual, the storage is encrypted with the AWS managed keys. That's on the Lambda part. Now, moving on from the compute aspect uh, to more on the IoT slash networking side, for me, this also stood out in many ways. So, and I believe this one is one of the most simplest named services and to the point, and it actually talks about what it is going to do, right? Uh, the only caveat now here is it is available only in US region, but soon it will be available, globally. By soon, I believe 2 to 3 years it should be the way, right? But what the service is building your own private 5G network. As a company, let's say if you are a manufacturing company, have a lot of machinery and IoT fit systems. Right now, you're depending on a network which is backed up by your telco or something of that sort. With this, you actually can build your own private, cool ability to build your own private 5G network, and AWS will come and set up the infrastructure and hardware, software, everything that is required. They'll give you the required devices also to connect. So they give you the SIM kit and whatnot. So I think I have that data here. And yeah, so what AWS provides is the call radio units, which is there, the servers, the 5G core and radio access networks or the RAN software, and the SIM toolkit, which is to be attached on the IoT devices endpoint. right? And it is not charged by the number of endpoints that they would do. So this is something which I believe could be a game changer. This is a completely different notion that they have gone into to build, and this is a good value add, right? It is in preview, available only in US, but whenever it goes global, it is going to be a game changer, right? Now moving into the storage space. So far, we have had the S3 and Glacier. S3 for regular storage, Glacier is your archival as we know it. But over the last 4 years, you would have seen n number of versions that they brought in. S3 standard, S3 standard infrequently access, S3 standard infrequently, one zone infrequently access, and so on and so forth. So that's what they did. And S3, the archive version, Glacier, was always known as the S3 Glacier as a simple one. This time around, in the Glacier, they have built a new version of, or a new tier they have announced, in which, even though it's in the archive, you can do millisecond level access for the data which is archived at a very minimal cost as compared to what we used to do as part of the S3 Glacier back then. And now, so if you would see, the new one is called S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval, right? And the old one, which used to be known as just S3 Glacier, is now known as Flexible Retrieval. So now there are two versions or two tiers of the S3 Glacier thing, right? And in this, there is free bulk retrieval as an addition. So earlier there was a cost associated to it. Now they have made it as free bulk retrieval and a 10% storage price reduction if you use this tier as compared to the new instant retrieval one. And also as part of the announcement, they made a 31% storage pricing cost in standard IA and one zone IA, which is infrequently accessed tier, which is a substantial amount. If someone is using that, 31% cost reduction is huge. Only for those in the Sydney region, the cost reduction is 27%, right? So yeah, so and this is something which is already applied to your accounts if you are using these tiers. You don't have to do anything or apply for it to go enable it, right? Uh, Going back, staying with the storage theme. This is again, I believe, one good announcement in which recycle bin for EBS snapshots. You might think, why would you need this, right? It is a snapshot. Why do I need this? But most of the times, this is something that many people are automating. If even if not manually deleted, your scripts might be there which might delete it. So that's where now they have introduced this. I believe a lot of them complained about it, or they saw a lot of scenarios of accidental deletion of EBS snapshots, and they've introduced a recycle bin layer in which the snapshots will be retained for a certain period, right? You can predefine the rules for the retention period, right? And you can also say whether it will be for all snapshots or just with specific tags. That is something available, right? And you can recover these deleted snapshots during this retention period. However, now from a security aspect, this can further be restricted to certain people only using the IAM roles and policies, right? And it's super flexible the way it is set up. And this is something which is generally available immediately. Another key thing, if you're from the FSI space and banks running a lot of mainframe, I believe you would appreciate this. At least the direction taken by AWS in this. A lot of other cloud providers are already into the game. So AWS has also ventured into it where they are now building a framework around AWS mainframe modernization to actually lift and shift uh, this legacy systems that you would run on premise specifically for banking sector or any of these sectors using mainframe, right? So they're doing this not just this or about the run workload and building the technical components around it. As a partner, they are also announcing uh, plans and programs to train AWS partners go through the mainframe modernization thing. So that's, I think, a key thing for even partners like us to adopt it and go help the BFSI customers, the banking and financial sector industry out there, right? Uh, this, as I said earlier in my point, I love that AWS is now focusing a lot on sustainability, not only from the technical standpoint and what they are doing in various, the way they're building the data center, or how they are using their own silicon nitro to reduce, the compute cycle, to improve the energy efficiency, improve the energy utilization and whatnot. But they're also, communicating with the consumers, partners, everyone, saying that if you're building using AWS, build it in a sustainable way. And you can do it. And they're adding that as part of the well architected framework as the sixth pillar now. So it is very interesting to see me, myself, as a well architected reviewer. For me, I want to see how this potentially works. What are the key points that we'll be taking in? And that's something that I'll be evaluating, right? Uh, The next one is now the few more that I have is around the data side. So this one was announced in preview, I think 2 years back, if I'm not wrong. But it has finally became GA. So that's something that I wanted to call out, in which in the data lake formation now you have granular access and control at row level. So now you can say which function, who user gets access to what kind of data at a row level. So that kind of granular access control is now made available across using APIs or UI and so forth, right? And overall storage optimization and everything, which they are made generally available now. Then, interestingly, in Athena, now they have enabled asset transactions as well. So, which is under preview. It would be interesting to see how we would use it for data stored in S3, structured, unstructured data. For how do we do that, and how do we potentially build upon it using Athena, right? So that's one interesting point. And then there is a foray, especially these were announced, as part of the serverless bits, where they have taken a jab on a lot of ISV partners, like Snowflake and Databricks and others, who have done an extremely good job in developing the technology of making it serverless and pay as you go, to make it easy for the data users, data engineers to build it. So now what Amazon or AWS has done is build that product killer, which will actually say that you don't have to worry about what is going to, how you provision your infrastructure to run petabyte scale warehouses. You go start using it, we'll manage the provisioning in the backend. And you pay only for what you use in incremental basis, which is very, very interesting, right? So that's one. Around the same notion, what they have done is they have added a Redshift serverless. So this is where I said that this is a direct competition to those services that are there in the market, and which is very interesting. They are very mature players outside. Hope that this product actually comes into GA very soon, and actually becomes mature enough as much as the other players are. So if you would say, as part of the Redshift, what AWS takes care is this, right? So auto scaling, compute provisioning, automated patching, failover, monitoring, backup. These are big problem statements if you would ask a data engineer, even to do it on Redshift, right? Leave alone outside cloud. So now that is something which is being, the heavy lifting is done by AWS, and you focus on how to use the data on the data warehouse, right? And you pay for what you use, and don't worry about the data warehouse management, and go quickly to the market. So that's the motion that they're building.
I think this is a good announcement, because whenever I suggest a Redshift to a company, they say it's a minimum three servers, minimum big servers. So there is a lot of investment at the first time
Yeah,
upfront.
yeah,
So this is a really game changer, I think.
It is a very interesting one. And as I said, right, there are other ISV partners who are doing that in a very good way, right? So they have learned from them, they are adopting it, and now they are ensuring that the customers get it. And I believe as many users start using this, they will improve their offering and product as well, right? So that's there. And then they made serverless inference as well. So for those who are running inferences, they would also know how managing the underlying infrastructure for doing it from time to time is cumbersome. And that's where they build this flavor into the inference bit as well, where it is completely fully managed. And even for intermittent data reference models that are coming through for your ML modeling, uh, it can manage and scale accordingly. You don't have to bother about it, right? And you can ensure that you're just focusing on the algorithms and the ML models that you have to build and not on the infrastructure. So they don't want to be the infrastructure guys, so they want to offload that bit from them. And keeping to the theme of no code requirement or low code, no code, here again, uh, I don't think the data engineers would love this because they don't want any Tom, Dick, and Harry to come and make ML models, right? So they want to have that thought process. But I believe AWS is actually making a bold move saying that they want to democratize and make it accessible to everyone, right? So they want to expand the ML access to business analysts in a no code environment. That's the way I would put it. And they are making it accessible to everyone, even with limited ML understanding, machine learning understanding, right? Similarly, Studio Labs is more on the education side. If you want to learn how to use SageMaker, how to build models, and then immediately go into the previous one that we shared, the canvas, and start making. This is a starting point. Uh, SageMaker is you use that. It's a free service for now at least. You just create an account using your email. You don't need an AWS account. You don't need credit cards. Go choose a CPU, GPU that you need. It keeps it for your session. Uh, you add in data, you build models, and then you see what it is. Right? It's a sandbox which apparently they're giving it for free. Right? I don't know for how long, but it's a good thing to make it accessible to everyone. You can apply for the preview and get access to that, right? And finally, the last announcement that I would like to highlight is the AWS IoT Roborunner. This happened to be the very first announcement that happened on a Sunday evening during the Midnight Madness event that they have, which is a kickoff event that they have, in which the VP of the robotics side actually came in and announced they had all these fancy uh, products that they built. What lab is that? They have the dog, the Dynamo lab, or something of that, right? The Stanford University built the robots, which has the four-legged dog-side robot. So that was there. They had the uh, automated bartender with moving arms, making drinks, and of course, then they had the Astro device. If you would have seen, Amazon announced this Astro device like a companion. It's more like your Alexa, but on the move and with eyes and view of it and everything on it. So they had that on device, and they said, you know what? Now there are going to be a lot of uh, robotics and other systems that are there around. Uh, how do you make it easy for everyone to consume it? Right? So now they have built this IoT Roborunner layer. It is in preview, but the value prop that they are saying is it makes it easier to build applications and make it possible to interoperate or orchestrate, robots with a single view by removing the complex development work that is required to connect the robots, right? And they're saying vendor A, vendor B, vendor C, connect all of them, let them intercommunicate, and you have a single view. So I believe this is built with view of keeping the Astro product that they have, in which they will be potentially connecting that with other IoT devices, right? Like Samsung Smart Things, and the chips that are there available, so or the smart lights and whatnot. And I believe with this they would like to take that forward to optimize fleets and fleets of diverse robots and IoT systems that are there. So I believe this is a potential game changer for where they're allowing third-party systems to come in into their thing and manage that, and that which is a key thing. So yeah, I think those were the key call-outs that I had. I had a bigger deck which was much longer, but I'm glad that I just chose this to talk. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Kaushik. That was very interesting, to be honest. Um, what is the main takeaway that you have as person, and that you would give to any company that work with you, basically?
Um, so for me, let me start presenting. Right. So the key takeaway is now AWS is starting to focus on specifics and niches. Right. As I said, AWS for automotive. They have built a service called Fleetwise, right, which is specific, very very specific to the automotive industry, where they say they are partnered with partners like NPX, which build cars, and they say use this chip, use this board, use this software, put it into your cars so that we can connect and use them and utilize them, right? So they are actually not focusing on large scale things. They're focusing on niches now and using the existing services to go into it. So that's a change in the thought process, and that's my key takeaway out of this reinvent. And I'm glad that I could be there in person, and of course the networking that I had the opportunity to have a one-on-one discussion with the likes of Adam, Werner Vogel, Jeff Barr, uh, and hear their thoughts, and also share what I am doing, what we as a company at Blazeland are doing. So that is, was a great takeaway for me for sure. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So you talked to Warner Vogels about your company and about some aspiration that you have.
Oh yeah, so he was available. So as part of the AWS Hero platform, they gave us this opportunity to actually discuss. It was a closed room, event where it was more free discussions happening during replay as well. The last event where we had this one-on-one discussion. That is where we happened to meet Adam, the CEO, right, share. That's when I understood Adam has a very key focus on community building as well. He's in the past worked with W. He was a CEO for W. Even there, he says that the ecosystem is very important. So that's great to know, right? We as community leaders running these events and everything, knowing that as a CEO focuses and wants us to and encourages running that. That was good to see. And yeah, and Jeff Barr, as always, was keen to share his thoughts. There were others from other folks who are doing great community work, and other user groups, talking to them, talking to Ryan from A Cloud Guru on how he is acquiring Pluralsight, how it is going through for him, and so on and so forth. So those kind of discussions were nice, and that was a good opportunity.
Interesting. I will let the floor be open for anyone to ask if there's any questions.
Sure. I see a new attendee today. Hey there. Hey,
Hey,
Gianluca.
Gianluca.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's right. Hi,
Perfect.
nice to meet you. Thank you for the opportunity to join. I'm coming. Okay, I'm Italian. I'm coming originally, migrated a lot in Europe, Germany, Austria, UK, and now I'm following my family here in Bangkok. So I
Oh,
decided
nice.
to make the first step to connect to local communities. So you are not probably local, but you are close enough.
Close enough. Yeah.
I think that I'm in this moment start to. We just relocated since a few months. I'm starting now to see if I can move consultancies with my old customers that I have in Europe, and so I'm trying to build up something for me as a consultant. AWS is surely one of the topics where I'm interested to further develop and to further offer. Is a good opportunity to work remotely also, because having customers in Europe, you know better than me, is not the jet lag is affecting us very well. Background, I'm a CTO. I was a CTO in several organizations. I worked for the European Space Agency. I worked for the European Weather Forecast Center in England,
Interesting.
other meteorological services, and there the amount of data, the amount of also artificial intelligence to recognize satellite images and whatever is pretty strong. So cloud comes hand in hand with those requirements, big requirements there. So I'm trying to see if I could maintain contact with my customers, let's say this way, or better, my old colleagues that could become customers, let's say in this way,
Right.
and in the meantime develop something here, and who knows.
Interesting.
Welcome to the region.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you happen to follow the reinvent?
No, only part, because I was middle of a relocation that took several months
Sure.
between lockdowns and whatever. So,
It can be
but
painful.
now is another builder event coming up. I
Yes.
notice. So I'm very sorry I arrived a bit late. I do not know which are the common practices for these meetings, apart from not being late, that I can imagine. But one point is I do not know how much I have lost. If you do, you share your few slides
Sure,
usually.
we'll be sharing my slides, and also we have the video recording on YouTube.
Okay.
So maybe we can share the
I'll
YouTube
share
link
this.
across.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
share the link with you.
And how does it work? The team, the group here.
So,
Thank you.
This is very different than the usual. To be honest, usually it's just a presenter speaking, and then we will have a question. In some
Okay.
cases, the presenter will allow questions during his talk. But today, because we were only two-person here at the beginning, and then you and Yasser came, so we wanted to be a little bit more of a lightning talk rather than a presenter and an
Yeah,
audience.
clear.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
so
Yeah.
yeah. So I think, do you want to stop the recording, Salam? Then maybe we can just go into the networking mode. Yeah.
There is one or two last things that I want to
Oh,
mention.
okay, sure. Sorry.
We have a hiring announcement from Seek Asia.
Oh,
So
right.
my name is Salam. I work in Seek originally, right? And I focus more on the businesses running under Seek Asia. We have two opportunities for hiring. We have multiple other opportunities, but let me focus on those two mainly. We have a position for head of engineering, and we have a position for engineering manager. We are looking for enthusiastic people who could join us and enrich our engineering team, learn from each other, and hopefully provide value for our customers. In addition to this, we have a lot of other opportunities. I will share the link for the career page here on the channel, and hopefully I will share also again on Facebook. So that's the last official thing.
Do
Thanks
you
everyone
have
who's listening
any?
in. Yeah,
Do
sorry, go
you
on.
have any hiring announcements to make, Gianluca?
No, I'm looking actually. In this moment, I followed my family, so I'm the one jobless. Enjoying
Okay.
this status, actually.
Okay.
No,
All right.
no, hiring not, but I'm interested to hear, because I'm looking for a job. So
Okay.
even
Sure.
if I'm thinking more to remain on the consultancy side, but who knows? Why not?
Yeah,
Certainly.
interesting. So thanks everyone who's connecting via YouTube and listening to us on the recording. I'll stop the live stream now. See you
Yeah.
in the next year.
Yeah, greetings
Okay.
of the season to everyone. All
Yeah.
those on YouTube.